On a chilly February evening in 1974, the quiet streets of Berkeley, California, were shattered by a violent intrusion. Patricia Patty Hearst, the 19-year-old granddaughter of publishing magnate William Randolph Hearst, was studying in her apartment when a group of armed militants stormed in. Shouting and brandishing weapons, they quickly overpowered her, dragging her out into the night. The group was the Symbionese Liberation Army, SLA, a radical left-wing organization seeking to overthrow the government and create a revolutionary state. The SLA whisked Patty away to a hideout, where she was bound, blindfolded, and held captive in a small, dark closet. For weeks, she endured physical and psychological abuse, her world reduced to the sounds of her captors' footsteps and the muffled conversations beyond the door. The SLA demanded that her wealthy family distribute millions of dollars worth of food to the poor in exchange for her release. But as weeks turned into months, something changed. The terrified and defiant young woman began to adapt to her new reality. Isolated and broken down, Patty started to empathize with her captor's cause. Then, a shocking transformation occurred. Just a few months after her abduction, Patty emerged as Tania, a willing participant in the SLA's activities. The world watched in disbelief as the kidnapped heiress appeared on surveillance footage, armed and participating in a bank robbery. This brazen act of defiance captivated the nation and raised a disturbing question. Was Patty Hearst a victim of brainwashing, or had she genuinely embraced the radical ideology of her captors? Theories abounded, with psychologists suggesting she had succumbed to Stockholm Syndrome, a psychological phenomenon where hostages develop a bond with their captors. For over a year, Patty remained on the run with the SLA, participating in more criminal activities, and narrowly escaping capture multiple times. The media frenzy surrounding her case only intensified, with each new headline painting a picture of a young woman caught between two worlds, one of privilege and wealth, the other of radical rebellion. In September 1975, after a dramatic police raid in San Francisco, Patty was finally captured. The trial that followed was one of the most sensational in American history. The prosecution painted her as a willing participant in the SLA's crimes, while the defense argued she had been coerced and brainwashed. After months of testimony and deliberation, Patty was convicted of bank robbery and sentenced to 35 years in prison, later reduced to 7 years. In 1979, after serving nearly 2 years, Patty Hearst was released when President Jimmy Carter commuted her sentence. Decades later, in 2001, she was granted a full pardon by President Bill Clinton, a final chapter in a story that had gripped the nation and sparked endless debate. Today, the kidnapping of Patty Hearst remains one of the most perplexing and controversial events in modern American history. Her ordeal raises enduring questions about coercion, free will, and the human capacity for adaptation under extreme circumstances. As we look back on this dark chapter, we are reminded of the thin line between victim and perpetrator, and how quickly one can become the other.